The crystalline spires of the Zephyrian homeworld pulsed with red alarm signals. Admiral Kethfer stood in the command center, his tall, crystal body reflecting the warning lights. The data flowing into his mind through the neural interface made no sense. 17 star systems had simply disappeared, not blown up by exploding stars or eaten by black holes. They had been erased from reality itself. Admiral, his aide called out, her crystal form flickering with worry patterns. The empty zones are growing faster. They are expanding at 0.73 light-years every day. Kethfer touched the control panel with his crystal fingers. The holographic display showed the galaxy map. Dark spots were spreading across it like ink stains on paper. Each dark spot had once been a star system full of life. Now there was nothing there. Not even empty space. Just ... nothing. Send emergency signals to all allied worlds, he commanded. Tell them to prepare for evacuation. Far across the galaxy. The collective felt the terror differently. They were not individuals like other species. The collective was billions of minds joined together as one. They could think thoughts that would take normal beings years to complete. They could predict the future by calculating millions of possibilities at once. But now, parts of their great mind were going silent. Entire worlds full of their people were vanishing. Collectives, quantum computers, machines that could see. The future of the whole galaxy gave them only one answer. Total death would come to everything in 4 months. The collective's main consciousness spoke in a voice like thunder across their remaining worlds. All units must retreat to the core systems. Begin uploading all knowledge to the quantum storage banks. We must preserve what we can before the end comes. On the ancient worlds of the ethereal dominion, beings of pure energy watched their sacred places disappear. These creatures had given up their physical bodies long ago. They existed as living light, as conscious energy that could travel between stars. They had thought themselves immortal, beyond the reach of any disaster. But the void ate energy just as easily as it ate matter. Their most holy temples, structures made of pure thought and crystallized time, simply stopped existing. The ethereals gathered in their last safe system, their energy forms pulsing with fear. Even we cannot escape this, whispered the eldest. Among them, if beings of pure energy can be consumed, then nothing in this universe is safe. Meanwhile, on a small blue and green world orbiting a yellow star, Dr. Kim Dae-ho stared at his computer screens. The Korean scientist had been watching the strange readings for weeks. His monitoring station in Seoul was picking up impossible signals from deep space. The gravitational waves don't make sense, he muttered, rubbing his tired eyes. It's like reality itself is being torn apart out there. His colleague Park Min-ho looked up from his own workstation. The Global Defense Council still hasn't responded to our reports. They think we're seeing equipment errors. Dr. Kim shook his head. This isn't an equipment error. Something is destroying the galaxy, and it's heading toward us. He pointed it. The display showing the expanding void zones. Look at the pattern. It's systematic, like someone is erasing star systems one by one. The door to their lab burst open. Lee Soo-jin, the director of planetary defense, rushed in with several military officers behind her. Dr. Kim, I need everything you have on this phenomenon. The president is calling an emergency meeting of the Global Council. Finally, Dr. Kim said, gathering his data files, I've been trying to warn someone for weeks. Void is expanding toward our sector of the galaxy. At its current speed, it will reach Earth in less than 2 months. Director Lee looked at the star charts on the wall. Red circles marked the systems that had vanished. The pattern was clear. The destruction was moving in a straight line toward Earth. What exactly are we dealing with? She asked. I don't know, Dr. Kim admitted. It's not like anything in our physics books. The void doesn't destroy things, it erases them, as if they never existed in the first place. Above Earth's atmosphere, alien refugee ships were arriving every day. The advanced species that had escaped the initial waves of destruction were fleeing toward the galaxy's outer rim. Most of them barely noticed the primitive radio signals coming from the blue planet below. A Zephyrian commander named Velthara transmitted to her fleet, another pre-spaceflight species. Their electromagnetic chatter won't last long once the Void reaches their system. We should not waste time here. But some of the refugees studied the human signals with curiosity. The ethereal, known as Whisper of Stars, observed, "These beings seem remarkably calm for a species about to face extinction. They are organizing, not panicking." Dr. Kim worked through the night, comparing the Void's energy signature with Earth's experimental quantum research. Something nagged at him, a familiar pattern in the readings. "Park, pull up the files from the Lazarus Project. The quantum resonance experiments we ran last year." As Park loaded the data, Dr. Kim felt his heart skip a beat. The frequencies were similar, not identical, but related somehow. "This can't be a coincidence," he whispered. Outside, the first evacuee ships from the outer solar system were arriving. The mining colonies around Jupiter and Saturn had been abandoned as precautions. Earth was preparing for the worst, while hoping for the best. The Void was coming, and humanity was about to face its greatest test. The mining station orbiting Pluto disappeared at exactly 14:27 GMT on a Tuesday afternoon. One second it was there, sending routine reports about ice harvesting operations. The next second, it was gone, not destroyed, not exploded, simply erased from existence as if it had never been built. Captain Jung Minwoo stood on the bridge of the evacuation ship Seoul's Hope, watching through the large viewport as Jupiter's moons vanished one by one. Europa disappeared first, then Ganymede, then Callisto. Each moon simply stopped existing as the wall of absolute darkness moved closer. "Captain," his navigator called out nervously, "the Void is moving faster than we calculated. It will reach Jupiter in 6 hours." Jung Minwoo gripped the rail tighter. Behind him, 300 colonists from the Jupiter mining stations waited in the passenger compartments. These were the last people to escape from the outer solar system. Everyone else had already fled or ... ceased to exist. "Set course for Earth," he commanded. "Maximum speed." "Sir, even at full power, we can only stay ahead of the Void for maybe 12 hours, the navigator replied. "Then we make those 12 hours count," Jung Minwoo said firmly. He activated the ship's communication system. "All hands, this is your captain. We are the last ship leaving the Jupiter system. We will reach Earth and deliver our passengers. Safely, that is a promise." On Earth, the Global Defense Council had transformed the planet into a fortress. Nuclear satellites hung in space like deadly stars. Particle beam weapons pointed outward from the moon. Gravitational disruptors, humanity's newest and most powerful weapons, were aimed at the approaching darkness. Director Lee Soo-jin coordinated the defense from a bunker deep beneath Geneva. The walls were covered with screens showing Earth's weapons systems. Red lights blinked everywhere as the automated defenses prepared to fire. "Status report," she called out. "All nuclear platforms are armed and ready," reported Colonel Park. "Particle beams are charging to full power. Gravitational disruptors are online." Lee Soo-jin nodded, but her heart was heavy. She had seen the reports from the alien refugees. The most advanced civilizations in the galaxy had tried to fight the Void. Species with technology beyond human imagination had thrown everything they had at the darkness. Nothing had worked. "Communications. Any word from the outer system?" she asked. "Captain Jung Min-woo's ship is still on course." 8 to 4 hours, came the reply. High above Earth, on the orbital defense platform, communications engineer Choi Hae-jin watched Mars through her telescope. The red planet looked normal, spinning slowly in its orbit. Then the Void reached it. "Visual contact with the phenomenon," she reported, her voice steady despite what she was seeing. "The Void it's touching Mars now." Mars didn't explode. It didn't break apart. It simply stopped being there. One moment, Choi Hae-jin was looking at the red planet through her telescope. The next moment, she was looking at empty space. Not dark space, not black space, just ... nothing. "It's beautiful," she whispered into her microphone. "Like staring into the space between spaces. It's not dark, it's not light. It's just ... absent." Down on Earth, Dr. Kim Dae-ho worked frantically in his Seoul laboratory. His computer screens showed quantum readings that made no sense. The numbers were impossible, but they were real. The void was approaching Earth, and his instruments were picking up its energy signature. "The resonance patterns are off the charts," he muttered, typing rapidly. "But there's something familiar about these frequencies." His assistant Park Min-ho looked up from another computer. "Sir, the readings match something in our database. From the Lazarus Project experiments we ran last year." Dr. Kim's hands stopped. Moving over the keyboard, "Pull up those files. All of them." As the data appeared on his screen, Dr. Kim felt his breath catch. The quantum frequencies were similar to what they had detected during their experiments with resonance fields. It's not identical, but related somehow. "This can't be coincidence," he said. "The void's energy signature is responding to our quantum experiments. It's like it's trying to communicate." "Sir," Park Min-ho said urgently, "I'm getting readings from the defense satellites. They're about to fire on the void." Dr. Kim grabbed his phone and dialed Director Lee Soo-jin's emergency number. "Don't fire the weapons," he shouted as she answered. "The void isn't hostile. It's trying to make contact." "Dr. Kim, we don't have time for theories," Lee Soo-jin replied. "The void will reach Earth in 2 hours." "Listen to me," Dr. Kim said desperately. "The quantum signatures match our Lazarus Project experiments. The void is responding to our research. If we fire weapons at it, we might trigger something worse." Above Earth, the alien refugee fleets watched the approaching disaster with grim fascination. The ethereal entity known as Whisper of Stars communicated with its fellow energy beings through thought waves. "The youngest species faces the same fate as the eldest," it said sadly. "The void makes no distinction between wisdom and ignorance. These humans have existed for such a short time, yet they will end just as we nearly did." Another ethereal, called Light Dove Memory, pulsed with disagreement, but observe how they respond. They do not flee in panic. They organize. They fight. They try to understand. Captain Jung Min Woo's ship burst through Earth's atmosphere, its hull glowing from the emergency landing. The 300 refugees from Jupiter stumbled out onto the landing pad, grateful to feel solid ground beneath their feet. "The void will be here in 1 hour," Jung Min Woo reported to the Defense Council. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now." The darkness was coming, and humanity was about to face its moment of truth, deep beneath Earth's surface. In tunnels carved through solid rock, the massive machines of Project Lazarus came to life. Dr. Kim Dae-ho stood in the control room, his hands shaking as he entered the activation codes. For months, he had been studying the void's energy patterns. Now he finally understood what they meant. "The void isn't destroying anything," he said to his team. "It's resetting reality. It's like turning off a computer and turning it back on again."
"Oh."
Assistant Park Min-ho looked confused. "But sir, we saw Mars disappear. How is that resetting?" Dr. Kim pointed to the quantum readings on his screen. "Look at the patterns. The void removes everything that has become too advanced, too stuck in old ways, then it rebuilds everything better. Humanity's experiments with quantum mechanics accidentally created the same frequencies the void uses." In the Geneva bunker, Director Lee Soo-jin received Dr. Kim's urgent message. The defense satellites were still aimed at the approaching darkness, but she hesitated before giving the order to fire. "Dr. Kim believes the void is trying to communicate with us," she announced to the War Council. "He wants to activate the Lazarus generators." General Park frowned. "Those are just experimental machines. Don't even know if they work properly." "They work," Lee Soo-jin said firmly. "And right now, they're our only chance." She pressed the communication button. "Dr. Kim, you have permission to activate all nodes. God help us all." Around the globe, massive generators buried deep in Earth's crust began to hum with power. These machines had been built as part of humanity's research into quantum energy. The scientists who designed them never imagined they would be used to talk to a cosmic force that could erase entire star systems in Seoul. Dr. Kim watched as the generators synchronized their frequencies. "All nodes are online," he reported. "The resonance field is building. We're matching the void's energy signature." High above Earth, Captain Han Jae-zone commanded the orbital defense platform. Through his telescope, he could see the wall of nothingness that had consumed Mars. It was still approaching, but something had changed. "The void is slowing down," he reported to Earth Control. "It's not advancing anymore. It's like it's listening to something." The transformation began at Earth's core. The planet's magnetic field, which had protected humanity from cosmic radiation for millions of years, suddenly shifted. New patterns formed in the magnetic lines, creating shapes that matched the mathematical formulas Dr. Kim had discovered in the void's energy signature. Dr. Park Soo-young monitored the quantum field readings from her station in Tokyo. She had been skeptical of the Lazarus project from the beginning. Quantum mechanics was complicated enough without trying to use it as a communication system. But now her instruments were showing impossible readings. "This can't be right," she muttered, checking her equipment. "The quantum fields around Earth are changing. We're not being destroyed. We're being connected to something." She called Dr. Kim urgently. "The void isn't trying to erase us. It's trying to join with us. The quantum signatures are merging, not fighting." Around the world, other scientists reported similar readings. The void's energy was mixing with Earth's quantum field, but instead of destroying the planet, it was enhancing it. The magnetic field grew stronger. The gravitational field became more stable. Even the atmosphere began to shimmer with new types of energy above Earth. The alien refugee fleets watched in amazement as the planet began to glow. The Zephyrian Admiral Kethfer had seen his own homeworld consumed by the void just weeks ago, but this was different. "It's impossible," he transmitted to his fleet. "The humans have achieved what our greatest minds could not. We've made contact with the void itself." The ethereal known as Whisper of Stars pulsed with excitement. "Look at the energy patterns surrounding their world. The void is not consuming them. It's embracing them." On the collective's refugee ship, the billion-mind consciousness observed the phenomenon with growing wonder. The humans' primitive quantum experiments have created a resonance frequency that matches the void's core programming. They have accidentally learned to speak its language. Captain Young Min-woo, who had just landed with the last refugees from Jupiter, stood on the observation deck watching the sky. The approaching wall of darkness had stopped moving. Instead, it seemed to be dancing with Earth's magnetic field, creating patterns of light that hurt to look at directly. "What's happening?" asked one of the refugees. "I think," Jung Minwoo said slowly, "we're about to find out what the void really is." Dr. Kim Dae-ho felt the generators reach full power. The quantum resonance field now extended far beyond Earth's atmosphere, touching the edge of the void itself. For a moment he felt connected to something vast and ancient, something that had been traveling through the galaxy for millions of years. "The void is not our enemy," he announced to the world. "It's a maintenance system. When civilizations become too advanced to set in their ways, the void resets them. It gives them a chance to start over and grow in new directions." He paused, looking at the readings that showed Earth's quantum field merging with the void's energy. "And somehow, our chaotic experiments with quantum mechanics have convinced it that we're ready to help with its work." The darkness above Earth began to pulse with new colors, and humanity realized they were no longer facing extinction. They were facing evolution. 6 weeks after the void had stopped its advance, Captain Yoon Jamin stood on the bridge of humanity's first new starship. The ship itself was different from anything humans had built before. The void's energy had changed Earth's technology, making it possible to travel between stars in ways that had seemed impossible just months ago. Captain called Communications Officer Kim Hyewon from her station. "I'm receiving signals from the Zephyrian homeworld. It's back." Through the main viewport, Yoon Jamin watched as points of light began appearing throughout the galaxy. Star systems that had vanished into the void were returning, but they looked different. The stars burned brighter, and the planets glowed with new types of energy. "Put the Zephyrion signal on the main screen," he ordered. The image that appeared made the bridge crew gasp. The Zephyrian homeworld was there, but the crystalline cities that had once covered its surface had grown into impossible shapes. Crystal spires twisted through the air like living things, forming patterns that seemed to bend space itself. "This is Admiral Kethfer of the Zephyrian fleet," came the transmission. We are not the same as we were before. The void has changed us. enhanced us. Our crystals now grow according to mathematical principles we never understood before. Dr. Song Min-ji, Earth's new lead scientist for studying alien life, reviewed the data streaming in from across the galaxy. Every species that had been consumed by the void was returning, but they were all different. Better, more advanced than they had been before. The void wasn't destroying civilizations, she explained to the ship's crew. It was preparing them for evolution. Every species that was consumed was actually being studied. The void analyzed their potential and then rebuilt them with improvements. On the restored collective worlds, the billion-mind consciousness was experiencing something completely new. Before the void, they had been trapped in biological bodies, limited by flesh and bone. Now they could interface directly with entire planets, feeling the pulse of ecosystems and the flow of energy through the ground itself. "We can shape matter at the molecular level now," reported the collective's main voice through the communication system. "Our new forms allow us to build and create in ways we never imagined. The void has given us the power to be true caretakers of our worlds." The ethereals, who had existed as pure energy for thousands of years, discovered they could now manipulate physical reality without needing to take solid form. They could touch matter and reshape it with their thoughts, creating new types of materials that existed somewhere between energy and substance. "We understand now why the void chose the humans as its partners," transmitted the ethereal known as Whisper of Stars. They were the only species that remained truly adaptable. While we perfected our technologies and became set in our ways, they continued to experiment and change. Director Lee Soo-jin, who had been chosen as humanity's ambassador to the reformed galaxy, stood before the new Galactic Council. The meeting was being held on a space station that had been rebuilt by the void itself, its structure incorporating elements from every known civilization. "We were the reset key because we never stopped being chaotic," she addressed the gathering of species. "While you perfected your technologies and became masters of your domains, we remained adaptable, unpredictable. The universe needed gardeners, not masters." The assembled representatives of dozens of species listened carefully. Each of them had been changed by the void, enhanced in ways that made them more than they had been before. "The void showed us that evolution never stops," Lee Soo-jin continued. "When a civilization becomes too advanced, too comfortable, it stops growing. The void resets things, gives everyone a chance to start over and grow in new directions." Captain Nam Dae-yoon, exploring the transformed outer rim of the galaxy, made discoveries that amazed even the enhanced alien species. On worlds that had been empty before the void's arrival, new forms of life were already emerging. These weren't just random creatures. They were species that combined the best aspects of civilizations that had existed before. "Every extinct civilization contributed to this," she reported to Earth. "Nothing was truly lost. The void preserved the knowledge and potential of every species it encountered, then used that information to create something better. On one planet, she found creatures that had the crystal-growing abilities of the Zephyrians, combined with the energy manipulation powers of the ethereals. On another world, new forms of the collective had emerged that could interface with both technology and living ecosystems." Dr. Kim Dae-ho, still working in his Seoul laboratory, studied the quantum readings from across the galaxy. That not disappeared, it was still there, but now it was working with the enhanced civilizations instead of resetting them. "We're all connected now," he explained to the Global Council. "Humanity, the Zephyrians, the collective, the ethereals, we're all part of the same system. The void has made us into gardeners of the galaxy." Transformation was complete. But it was also just the beginning. The galaxy was now filled with species that had been enhanced beyond their original limitations, all working together under humanity's guidance to nurture new life and prevent the stagnation that had triggered the void's reset protocol. As Captain Yoon, Jamin looked out at the reborn galaxy. He realized that what had seemed like the end of everything had actually been the beginning of something far greater than anyone had imagined. 1 year after the Great Reset, Captain Baek Soo-ho's exploration ship traveled through space toward a star system that had never existed before. The void had created new worlds in places that had once been empty. and these planets were ready to support life forms that would be better than anything the galaxy had ever seen. "We're approaching the target system," announced his navigator. "All sensors are picking up strong energy readings from the planets." Captain Beak Suho looked through the main viewport at the three worlds orbiting a young, bright star. The planet glowed with a soft light that came from within. The void had not just created these worlds, it had designed them to be perfect homes for new types of life. "Quantum readings are stable," reported Science Officer Lim Vijin from her station. "The planetary matrices are active and ready for seeding. The soil composition is perfect, the atmosphere is balanced, and the energy fields are all aligned." Dr. Kong Min-soo, who had been chosen as Director of Galactic Restoration, studied the planets through the ship's powerful sensors. Each world was different, but all of them pulsed with potential. Rivers of liquid crystal flowed across one planet's surface. Another world had floating islands held up by energy fields. The third planet had forests that grew in perfect mathematical patterns. "This is amazing," Dr. Kong said. "We can combine the collective's bioengineering knowledge with Zephyrian crystal tech and material energy shaping abilities. We can create ecosystems that will flourish for millions of years." The ship's communication system crackled to life. "Captain Beak Suho, this is Earth Control. President Park Soo-ben wants to address the terraforming fleet before you begin the seeding process." The main screen showed Earth's new president standing in the Global Coordination Center. Behind her, representatives from dozens of species worked together at control stations. The Zephyrian's crystal forms reflected the light from holographic displays. Ethereal energy beings pulsed with different colors as they processed information. Members of the collective moved in perfect synchronization as their shared mind coordinated restoration efforts across the galaxy. "Citizens of the galaxy," President Park Soo-ben began. "Today, we begin seeding our 100th new world. But I want to remind everyone what we are doing and why we are doing it." She gestured to the mixed crowd of species behind her. "We are not conquerors or rulers. We are gardeners in the cosmic sense. We nurture growth, we foster diversity, and we ensure that no species ever again becomes so stagnant that the universe feels the need to reset them." Captain Lee Junji, commanding the terraforming fleet, watched from his ship as the first seeds of life were prepared for planting. These weren't ordinary seeds. Each one contained genetic templates that held the wisdom of 1,000 extinct civilizations. The void had preserved the knowledge and potential of every species it had encountered, and now that information was being used to create new forms of life. "Beginning atmospheric seeding on Planet 1, he announced. "Releasing crystal-based organisms that will create the foundation ecosystem." Through his telescope, Lee Jungi watched as glowing particles fell from his ship toward the planet's surface. Where they landed, structures began to grow. These weren't plants or animals in the traditional sense, they were living crystals that could process energy and create the conditions needed for other life forms to flourish. "Planet 2 is ready for bioseeding," reported another captain. "The floating islands are stable and the energy fields are harmonized." On Planet 2, different types of organisms were released. These were combinations of ethereal energy life and collective bioengineering. They existed as both energy and matter, able to shape their environment through thought while maintaining physical form. Dr. Song Min-ji, monitoring the seeding process from her laboratory on Earth, watched as the new life forms began to establish themselves on the virgin worlds. "The integration is proceeding perfectly," she reported. "Each species is adapting to its new environment and beginning to interact with the others." The third planet received the most complex seeding. Here, the terraforming teams planted organisms that combined traits from every known civilization. These new life forms had the adaptability of humans, the technological integration of the Zephyrians, collective intelligence of the collective, and the energy manipulation abilities of the ethereals. "This is just the beginning," Dr. Kong Min-soo said as he watched the planets transform. "In a few hundred years, these worlds will be home to civilizations that surpass anything we can imagine." As the seeding process concluded, Captain Beak Suho stood at the observation deck of his ship, watching the young planet's first sunrise. The star's light reflected off the new crystal formations on the surface, creating patterns of rainbow colors that danced across the landscape. He activated the ship's communication system, knowing his words would be transmitted to every corner of the galaxy. They thought the end had come when the darkness fell. They were wrong. Every ending is just a beginning, waiting for the right gardener. And we ... we are the gardeners of infinity. Across the galaxy, on hundreds of worlds, the enhanced species continued their work. The void had not destroyed them. It had given them a purpose greater than any of them had imagined. They were no longer just individual civilizations competing for resources. They were partners in the greatest project in the universe's history, the cultivation of new life, new possibilities, and new beginnings. The galaxy had been reborn, and its gardeners were just getting started.